In this short video, we'll look at a tool called MacroView Standardiser and see how it can play a very useful role when you're migrating Outlook emails to SharePoint. MacroView Standardiser updates the structure of document libraries in SharePoint so that they're ready to manage Outlook emails. It does that by adding MacroView standard content types and views to those libraries, and the libraries can be in both SharePoint Online and on-premises SharePoint. In addition, Standardiser works through all the emails in those libraries, standardizing their naming and their metadata treatment. Standardiser records the attributes of each email as metadata using the MacroView standard content types. The end result is the same as if the emails were originally saved by using MacroView. Those migrated emails will be the same as emails that you save by the ongoing use of MacroView. Standardiser will work through all the document libraries in a SharePoint site that you specify. Alternatively, you can supply a list of the URLs of the sites you wish to process in a CSV file. As it processes each library, MacroView adds the standard MacroView content types and emails view, and then processes each MSG file that it finds in that library. The result of the processing is that each MSG file has a standard name and metadata treatment. Next, let's look at Standardiser operating using real data. Here's a brand new document library in SharePoint. If we look at the settings, we see that it's got a single content type and the standard Microsoft columns and the single all documents view. Here in Windows Explorer, we've mapped that document library to a quick access, and we're going to move some emails that have been exported from Exchange. As you can see, each of those emails is an MSG file whose name is the subject.msg. Back in our SharePoint document library, we see the newly loaded MSG files. Ultimately, our aim is to manage our emails using MacroView Message or MacroView DMF. Here we are in Outlook where the MacroView pane lets us see that same SharePoint document library and view its contents. The same MSG files that we saw a moment ago in the SharePoint web browser UI. And here's that single all documents view of our library. Next, let's use Standardiser to process our migrated emails. Here's the URL for our government site. Checking this box causes the standard MacroView content type and view to be added to our library. Now let's standardize. The content types have been added, and now MacroView is processing the emails that's found in our document library. Returning to Outlook and checking our migrated library, we see that the file names of the MSG files have been adjusted to be in line with the standard MacroView naming convention. We can now get formatted previews of each of those migrated files. We see that any attachments have survived the standardization process. We also see that there is an email messages view. This view has been added to the library, and it's a much nicer way to view our migrated emails. We see that each of those emails now has its email attributes recorded as metadata, columns such as subject, to, from, and receive time. Let's go back to our inbox and drag and drop this email to save it to the same library. It's now saved. If we check the library, here is our newly saved email. If we go to the email messages view, we see that it's the same format as our migrated emails. For more information about MacroView Standardiser and about other MacroView solutions for managing emails and documents in SharePoint, contact MacroView using these details.